Hey, and welcome to my channel, The Way, What is Truth. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe and comment down below. Okay, now I was with my dad today and we was chatting about various things, and he turned round to me and he said to me, Pete, why are you on Facebook? From what I've heard, Facebook is just full of show-offs, full of gossips, people that are self-obsessed. Well, he didn't say all those things, but he did say that Facebook is full of show-offs, from what I've heard, and they were his exact words, okay? And I turned round to him and I said, well, I suppose the main reason why I'm on Facebook is because, well, I personally don't have many friends. I feel a little bit isolated at times, I live on my own, basically. So I just turned round to him and said to him, well, I'd rather have some exposure to the world rather than none at all. That's what I said to him. And he just turned around and said, yeah, I know, I understand that. He was quite sympathetic and understanding about that. But he made a good point because sometimes I think to myself, why am I on Facebook? I've literally got 4 friends on Facebook at this present moment in time. Okay, 4. And I probably spend too much time on it. Now, as much as I like to talk, about various topics and everything. I would very much like this to be an open discussion, so definitely comment down below because I'm looking forward to any comments that I hear on this video, okay? And remember to tell people about my little tiny insignificant YouTube channel. Alright, so I suppose Facebook does have its uses. I mean, there are charities on Facebook. I mean, don't get me wrong. Facebook has many uses. Charities, advertising. A lot of it is bad advertising for bad things. Um, there's funding pages that can be found on Facebook. It's not all bad. It can be. At the end of the day, in my opinion, Facebook is a tool. In my opinion, the vast majority of people on Facebook are just average guys or women or whatever. We're all individuals in this sea of people that's bobbing up and down in this world. And we use it to chat to people, usually about light-hearted things, everyday stuff, funny things. Sometimes when things go wrong in our lives, we go on there to share what's going on. So yeah, it's just a tool that can be used for good or for bad. It's just like with the internet as a whole. Now there's various YouTube channels that I don't really like. I think they don't serve any purpose. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels that just agree with the majority opinion, and they're so politically correct that it makes me sick. And basically, whatever's politically correct and whatever is law-abiding and whatever is generally approved of on the news or whatever the majority opinion is, they're just going to go along with it. I'm talking about typical secular YouTube channels, people with no backbone whatsoever. They just go along with the flow. They don't dare cause any ripples, they don't dare cause any waves or anything. They don't upset anyone. And they're just themselves. And I see many YouTubers as being quite self-obsessed and quite vain and quite narcissistic. But that's enough about that, okay? Yeah. Facebook and the internet and YouTube, like take my YouTube channel for example. I just like to speak my mind. Sometimes I read out of the Bible. Sometimes I talk about various topics like Facebook. And I would just like anyone who's watching this video to ask themselves one question: Why am I on Facebook? In fact, scrub that out. More than one question. Ask yourself several questions. Okay. Why am I on Facebook? What am I doing on Facebook and social media as a whole? And is it doing me any good? Because a lot of the time, I bet there's millions of people out there that would be better off not being on Facebook at all. In fact, my own sister said to me the other day, you know what, I might just sack it off. I might just go off Facebook. And I mean, I've spent most of my life off social media. It's only been over the past several years that I've actually been on it at all. I spent the best part of 10 years not being on Facebook at all. So yeah, but I will say this: I find that there's so much gossip on Facebook. There's so many arguments that can be caused on Facebook. Of course, this is not Facebook's fault. Facebook is just a tool It's the people on it, and people are people on or off Facebook. But what Facebook can do is that it can make our own flaws and our own family problems, our own relationship problems, our own financial problems, whatever it may be, even worse, because we expose ourselves to the world. Now, of course, we have options. We can put things on friends only, even on only me. There's an only me setting. There's a public setting on Facebook. So we do have control over what people can see and don't see. But something that I'm personally guilty of is although I do like to keep the majority of my Facebook on friends only, especially if the post has been on there for a few days or whatever, I tend to keep certain things on public for a reason. It's like, I think to myself, well, if someone stumbled upon my Facebook, whether it be a friend or a family member or just a complete stranger, I think to myself, I'd like them to see certain posts, but not other ones. Yeah. And I'm sure that a lot of people are guilty of that. And I suppose, yeah, I'm a little bit lonely. So perhaps that's why, and that's the reason that I gave to my dad earlier on today when I was talking to him. I said, you know what? The main reason, really, the number one reason why Peter Passerent, I almost said my surname, you should never say your surname on social media. At least I don't think you should anyway. My name's Peter, by the way, in case I've never mentioned my name on my YouTube channel before. My name's Peter, yeah? Maybe I was being a bit paranoid there when I said, better not mention your surname, but I just like to play it safe. Okay, so yeah, my name's Peter, and welcome to my channel. And again, remember to like and subscribe down below. Sorry if I'm a bit all over the place, but I'm the type of person that sort of flitters from one topic to the next. My mind is always thinking. I'm always trying to think of new ideas for my YouTube channel. I go through dry spells where I can't think of any good ideas. So yeah, I mean, here I am with this topic, and I would like this to be an open discussion. Yes, I'm sorry, I've already said that. I want it to be an open discussion, okay, about social media, about whether it's good, whether it's bad. And I suppose it's just dependent on the person. I know that millions of people out there would be better off not being on Facebook because of arguments, because of jealousy, because of envy, because of the problems it can cause. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of people that I get stalked on Facebook, for example. One scenario I could think of would be, I don't know, let's say like 10 years ago you split up from someone. Let's say you was in a relationship and you split up from someone. 5-10 years down the line, you could be being Facebook stalked by somebody. I mean, that's a bit of a worst case scenario, but it happens. All sorts of things happen. Sometimes people that you thought had no interest in you at all, they're on your Facebook, because if some of it's on public, they think, oh, okay, this is worth visiting. This guy's interesting. Well, I'm not too sure about this person, but if I visit his Facebook every so often, then, oh, okay, this is interesting, because it gives like people a window into your life. I suppose the vast majority, I'm guessing it's at least 70 to 80% of people have their Facebooks on friends only. In other words, they have it relatively private. Some people have their Facebooks on more private than others. I am guilty. I'm one of these people that are guilty of keeping certain things on public and certain things on friends only, depending on my mood and depending on what suits me and depending on who I think is going onto my Facebook. Okay? And another thing about Facebook I'd like to mention is that it can make you a little bit paranoid, especially if you've got friends or family and you're not too sure about whether or not they're going on or whatever. I mean, you know, that's why I said earlier on, social media isn't for everyone, and I'd very much like to hear down below in the comment section whether or not anyone or not agrees with me on that, okay? It's not something that's for everyone. In fact, I think, in my personal opinion, that there's too many people using social media, and I think that there should be a lot less people on it, maybe myself included, I don't know. Anyway, it's a very interesting topic. I mean, I've never used Twitter. I've never... I don't even know all the names of all of the different social media platforms. I'm so behind on everything. Honestly, I am. I'm only really familiar with Facebook and the ins and outs of Facebook and how it works and so on and so forth, okay? So yeah, thanks to my dad earlier on, I came up with this idea for this video, and yeah, I just find it really, really interesting because I just want people to think, okay, yeah, you're on Facebook, but what are you using it for? Are you actually doing any good being on Facebook? Are you just on there for the sake of it, or because you're used to it, perhaps? Or just because you went on it a few years ago and you just think, oh, okay, I can check up on friends and family, I'm just on here. I mean, some people just post things once every few months. Some people just do a handful of posts a year. Some people just do 1 or 2 posts a year. In fact, I know someone in my family, my cousin, who never uses it. He's on Facebook, but he never posts anything. He's just done several posts, and it's been like that for years and years and years. You know, some people just don't bother with it. Some people post 5 or 6 things a day. I mean, what type of Facebook user are you, and what type of social media user are you? I'd very much like to hear about that in the comments down below as well. And yeah, this should be an interesting one. Now, I was going to do this video in 2 parts. I was going to talk about how we should pray and why sometimes our prayers don't get answered, but I'm going to leave that for a separate video, okay? And yes, I will be sharing this video on Facebook, right? And yes, I've been painting downstairs, so excuse me if I've got paint anywhere. I did try and clean myself the best I could. Yeah, there's a bit of paint here, you see. Anyway, before I end the video, what I always like to do is have a final think and think, is there anything that I forgot to mention in the vid? Okay, yeah, tell me if you've had any interesting experiences on Facebook. Like, has anyone stalked you? Have you sort of spied on anyone, or used Facebook to cause an argument? I mean, Facebook can be used by all sorts of people. There are Christians on Facebook. There are Muslims on Facebook. There are Buddhists on Facebook. This is the part of what makes it so interesting, is that there's so many people from so many walks of life, so many different religions and faiths and backgrounds, and it's fascinating to me because what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, who invented Facebook. You'll have to excuse me if I've got his name wrong. I think his last name is definitely Zuckerberg. Anyway, you'll have to correct me in the comments down below if I've got his name wrong. Okay, but yeah, ever since Facebook was invented, social media just exploded, and I've told you my personal reason why I'm on it. Yeah, I wanted to get more in contact with the few friends and family that I have. I wish I did have more friends on Facebook actually, but I don't. But that's just how it is. I mean, perhaps I should post less, perhaps I should go on it less, perhaps I should read more, write more poetry. I don't know, man. I mean, we're all different, aren't we? So, yeah, I'm sorry if I've rambled on. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe and comment down below. And thanks so much for tuning in. And remember to share your experiences of Facebook and social media as a whole, and what your opinion of Facebook is. I would absolutely love to hear what you think about Facebook and your experiences on it, and other social media platforms as well. Anyway, I better leave it there, and yeah, see you on the next one. Bye bye, and take care.